we are on the air.
All right, let's get this show on the road. We got. Welcome to MMA Dawgs. My name is Hector, and this is my flyweight dog Dan.
Hi guys.
And we have a very special card here. We got UFC Fight Night 29 going down in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Right smack in the middle of our week. Something to get our week kick-started with. We got Demian Maia taking on Jake Shields. And just a couple things before we get jump-started and we start the party. Make sure, first of all, that you never, ever gamble more than you can afford to lose. So you never want to wager more than you can afford to lose. You don't want to put yourself in a pickle of a situation. So that's first thing. And then second thing is make sure that where you are placing your wagers, it's nice and legal. There's plenty of opportunity. You can go to Vegas. You can go wherever you're at. Just make sure that it's legal. That way you don't have anything to worry about. And yeah, so those two things. Now, very special welcome and thank you to our first viewers of this video. The first viewers of this video are our clients, so thank you very much for being our client. We appreciate you as much as you appreciate us. So this is a great situation for all of us. And Dog, let's go ahead and jump straight into the good stuff. Why don't we go ahead and go into our UFC Fight Night 29 guaranteed betting picks. If we don't get more right than wrong, we will issue you a refund for your exclusive betting picks, and we have no problem doing that because that is how confident we are with our strategy, with our picks, with our research, with our homework. All that stuff is done, and now it is time to go straight into it. Now, let's start off with the 3 stars, which are small to medium plays, do not parlay. Then we go on to 4 stars, which are medium to large plays that are parlay worthy. And then we got our 5 stars, large to huge plays. And for that, you do a little cross. I think, please. But 5 stars are large to huge parlay worthy plays. 5 stars are 100%, 4 stars are 80%, and 3 stars are 61%. So you can see why I have it that way, and it all makes sense. So we have 5 betting picks. We got 5 of them for this fight card. And I am excited to share them with you guys. So let's go to number 5. Number 5, we got the Mexicutioner himself, Joey Beltran. Now, when they announced Joey Beltran versus Fabio Maldonado, a lot of people's mouths started to water. Just the fight, at the thought of these two guys going in the octagon and just exchanging punch after punch after punch after punch after punch. And, obviously both these guys have incredible chins. Joey Beltran trains at Alliance, where Gustafsson trains, and Dominic Cruz and Chandler and Phil Davis and a bunch of guys. Recently, Yushin Okami is down there. I mean, just everybody, a lot of good UFC fighters, top UFC fighters, train down there. And in this particular fight, as taking a look at the fight footage and taking a look at all the different things that these guys bring to the table, with the one thing, there is one part to this fight that really, really sticks out to me, and that is Fabio Maldonado's lack of defense and his inability to keep his hands up during the fight. Fabio Maldonado is a boxer. He takes a lot of pride in his boxing, but his defense, his boxing defense, his MMA defense is terrible. It is just unbelievable. And it's been his chin that has gotten him through. Now, we take a look at a guy like Joey Beltran, very similar in the sense that he takes a lot of punishment, gets hit a lot, but with Joey Beltran, there is hope. There is hope. Whereas with Fabio Maldonado, I have not seen Fabio Maldonado get better in his UFC career. He's just stayed the same And anytime a fighter stays the same like that, it is just prime opportunity. It's a prime opportunity to bet against them. And going up against a guy like Joey Beltran in this particular fight, I see Joey Beltran having more openings and more of an opportunity to not only punch Fabio Maldonado in the face, but actually take him down if he wants to. Take Maldonado down to the ground, and if he has to get on top and hold the position, so be it. But I really see Joey Beltran in this particular fight maturing and becoming more of a fighter where perhaps we as the audience, most of the audience is like, okay, this isn't as fun as what I expected. But for the people who wager on the fights, it's going to be like, yes, this is exactly what we want. We want to, because the outcome what we want obviously is to win the bet. So it's exactly what we want. We want him to win this fight. We want him to, if he wants to get on top and hold him there for a round, so be it. If he wants to do that and hold him down for 3 rounds, so be it. But I definitely see an advantage here for Joey Beltran. And like I said, this isn't by any means a lock. This isn't a 5-star pick or even a 4-star pick. It's a 3-star pick. Right now, Joey Beltran is the underdog. You can find him around plus 130 all the way up to plus 137. So he is the underdog because this fight is taken down in Brazil. Now, if this fight wasn't taken down in Brazil, Joey Beltran may be a little higher, perhaps on the upper end of a 3-star, like possibly a 4-star. But because he is fighting down in Brazil and because Maldonado does have such a good chin, it's going to be a 3-star pick. But I do feel confident enough to make him a betting pick and wager on Joey Beltran. Now, if the fight was taking place in the United States, we might see something different. But still, regardless of it, like I said, Joey Beltran, 3 stars. And now we've got, moving on to number 4. The number 4 guy we have going into this one, it is Mike Pierce. Now, Mike Pierce, we know what to expect out of this guy. I mean, this guy, every time I watch this guy fight, I know exactly what I'm going to get. I know exactly who's going to, his whole style. We know he's a grinder. We know he's a wrestler, but he does have knockout power. He has knockout power in those hands. And we know that Rousimar Palhares is a one-trick pony. We know that Rousimar Palhares is going to try to get the ground, try to get the fight to the ground and get a leg lock. Now, Mike Pierce, we take a look at who the guys he has fought. Most recently, David Mitchell. Okay, whatever. Seth Bashinsky. Okay, whatever. Aaron Simpson, though. Aaron Simpson knocked him out. And then Carlos Rocha, a guy that a lot of people might not know about. He is a very, very good fighter. And he beat him by decision. Lost a split decision to Josh Koscheck. So lost a split decision to Johnny Hendricks. So this guy, he fights some of the best guys. And, either grinds out a decision. We know what to expect. Okay, fine, he won. Or he gets the knockout because he has that power. And with Rousimar Palhares, like I said, one-trick pony. The cardio is very, very, very suspicious. Very suspicious cardio. Like, man, this guy is he's got one way of winning. He's a loose cannon. He's just very unpredictable, and he's moving down to 170 pounds. So all those things add up. The odds stack in Mike Pierce's favor. So the only thing I don't like is that this fight is taking place in Brazil. But other than that, I really like Mike Pierce in this fight. I do predict that he will knock him out. With Beltran, it's going to be my prediction is a decision. And with Mike Pierce, I do think he'll get the knockout in the second round. I just think Mike Pierce is just, continuing to improve. He is hungry, motivated. And this will be 1, 2, 3, 4. This will be his 5th win in a row. This will be Mike's 5th win in a row. But once again, I can't recommend parlaying it. We want to be as smart with our money. We want to be stack everything in our favor to have a winning night. So I would recommend 3 stars. Do not parlay, just straight bet. I wouldn't even get fancy with prop bets on this fight, because like I said, he could grind out a decision, but that would be a win nonetheless. So I would say just a straight bet on Mike Pierce. And then moving right along to our third betting pick of the night, the third one, and this is Demian Maia. Now, this is the main event of the fight, and it's going to be 5 rounds, so it's something to look forward to. 25 minutes of a pair of welterweights, who are just very, very talented grapplers. Demian Maia is a little bit. Actually, not a little bit. He is better. He is better than Demian Maia when it hits the ground. When it hits the ground, Demian Maia is one of the best in the world, and I'm sure Joe Rogan will tell us that over and over and over again on Wednesday night. Actually, it won't be Joe Rogan. So yeah, never mind. It'll be Florian and Anik. So here I'll take a space. Demian Maia, one of the best guys on the ground, top guy on the ground. This guy's incredible. So Demian Maia, once it hits the ground, and the best way I can describe Demian Maia as a grappler is he doesn't have a fancy shot like GSP. He doesn't have this awesome takedown, like a wrestler. It's more like it's a zombie-like. It's more like a zombie, like, and he grabs the guy and takes him down and has his way. If you take a look at the Rick Story fight, especially the way he finished him in the first round, and it's just brutality. And then the John Fitch fight, the John Fitch, a guy who I don't think anybody predicted would get taken down that easily, and Demian Maia just had his way with him. And I remember when that fight happened, my dog and I, UFC 156, we were there, and we were talking to each other, and right away I look over at my dog and I say, Dog, has GSP met his match, like as a grappling and everything that has to do with getting taken down and takedowns? I mean, it's just very impressed with Demian Maia, his ability to get the fight to the ground. Once it gets to the ground, controlling the guy, smothering him, and I'm telling you, Jake Shields is in for a world of hurt. I mean, he's just going to enter Demian Maia's world, and Jake Shields, I do have a lot of respect for him, and that's why I can't 4-star it. I was very close. My dog and I were discussing this, and very close to 4-starring it, but Jake Shields is a top welterweight. He just is, any which way you want to do it. This guy knows how to win fights. He finds a way to win his fights on his feet. He's just so stiff and so flat-footed and just looks terrible in my opinion. And but he finds a way to win fights. And we've seen it when he did it to Woodley. He did it, and that was more Woodley's fault in my opinion, but still he won the fight. He did it to Dan Henderson. He's just a top guy. Can't count him out. He's fought everybody all around the world. At middleweight, at welterweight. Both these guys have fought at middleweight and welterweight. But the bottom line is the fight is in Brazil. Demian Maia is on the rise. Very close to 4-starring it. But I have to play it conservative. Now, with this one, my dog Dan and I were discussing it. We could see it going 5 rounds, and I wouldn't argue with that. I'm leaning more towards a submission by Demian Maia because he is going to have 25 minutes. I expect Jake Shields to defend. I do respect Jake Shields enough to. I can't prop bet it. I really just a prop wager here. I could see it going 25 minutes. Jake Shields has done it with Dan Henderson, and Maia has done that
GSP.
with Anderson. Yeah. What about Dan Henderson fight? How long did that one go?
That was 5 rounds also.
Yeah, GSP too. Yeah, both of them went to decision, right? I know GSP did, but Dan Henderson and him went to decision too, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so he's done it already. And then with Demian Maia, his decision with Anderson Silva, that was a sloppy fight, but regardless, they both have trained for a 25-round fight or a 25-minute fight, 5 rounds. So that's it. That wraps it up. Beltran, Pierce, Maia, confidence is in that level. So Maia is my top 3-star pick and then Pierce, and then Beltran. Now, moving right along to the second number 2 4-star pick, and that is Erick Silva. Erick Silva taking on Dong Hyun Kim. And first I want to talk a little bit about Dong Hyun Kim, because when this matchup was announced, immediately I thought Silva by knockout. But, you know, you have to do your due diligence, you have to do the research, and you have to take a look at their most recent fights, take a look at, you know, refresh your mind on these fights, take a look and see what they look like, what their strategies are, what their weaknesses are. And I have to share with you guys, I have to share this whole fight with you guys because it really stood out to me and boosted my confidence in Erick Silva in this fight. And that is, well, first, before I forget, before we go into that, the UFC does not like grinders, people who grind out the 3-round decision or 5 rounds or whatever it may be. GSP, he's a very rare case, and we won't use him as an example because he's just very rare that a guy can grind out a 5-round decision, but he's very charismatic. You know, people just really like him regardless of his fight style. But everyone else who is a grinder, the UFC does not like. Yushin Okami recently got cut by the UFC. He beats everybody. He beats just about everybody except the champ, and then or a couple challengers, and then he beats up a lot of up and coming guys. So the UFC does not want to see. It's not good for the business for them to have all these guys on the rise and then boom, hit a wall in Yushin Okami. And the same could be said for a guy like Dong Hyun Kim, a guy who here is an exciting fighter on the come up. For example, CR Bahaduzada on the come up, and then boom, he goes up against Kim and he hits a wall. Now, that's a fight I want to share with you guys. And Dong Hyun Kim, very hittable, lacks in the defense. In the first round and a half of that fight, Dong Hyun Kim ground and pound consisted of a baby back fist, little baby back fists, little baby punches, with Herb Dean standing right over him, telling him, you gotta work, you gotta work. And Dong Hyun Kim, his little baby back fist ground and pound, going, shh, 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 shh. I mean, I've never seen a more conservative ground and pound than Dong Hyun Kim. I just, shh, 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 shh. It wasn't until CR Bahaduzara, who is nowhere near the level of a grappler that Erick Silva is. It wasn't until CR was completely gassed that Dong Hyun Kim said, okay, now I'm going to start ground and pounding with elbows. Now I'm going to start hitting some ground and pound with elbows. And Dong Hyun Kim, in the third round, he's such a safe fighter, that it wasn't until the third round with 2 minutes left that he started really grounding and pounding and really showboating. And that kind of shit is just not going to work against a fighter like Erick Silva. I predict Erick Silva will knock him out. Not only knock him out in the first round. And we're all going to be either sitting down, jumping up and down. I'll be jumping up and down because I'll be standing about 1.5 to 2 feet away from where I'm sitting right now, watching my TV with a fistful of cash, jumping up and down. Yeah, woo, yeah, throwing it up. Yeah, I'm so happy. Erick Silva, first round knockout. For that one, 4 stars, extremely confident in it, parlay worthy. I really can't wait for that fight. And you know, you're gonna hear a lot of people saying, oh, you know, Dong Hyun Kim is gonna, you know, there's a chance he's gonna lay on top of him for 3 rounds and this and that. But Erick Silva, in his most recent fight, let's not forget, he fought a guy who is a wrestler himself. And you know, he might not be the best. You know, he might not be I don't think he's as good as Dong Hyun Kim, but his last fight he fought a grappler, and his fight before that he fought John Fitch. And John Fitch, you know, that fight, yes, John Fitch won, but that fight won fight of the night for a reason. And I love that fight. That's one of my favorite fights. When I think about some of my favorite fights, that was one of my favorite fights. I really enjoyed the back and forth between the guys. And And Jason High was the guy I was thinking of. Jason High, who got submitted by, who Silva submitted in the first round. So I feel very high on Erick Silva. And I see it first round knockout, Erick Silva. Now, the number one pick. Now you might be wondering to yourself, wow, we already covered Maia. And they already covered Silva. Erick Silva. Now, who is going to be the number one pick for this fight card? And the number one pick, the number one guy, 4 stars, is Thiago Silva. Now, one thing we know for a fact about Thiago Silva is that he is going to be juiced up. Every other fight, this guy gets busted for steroids. So we're going to have a juiced up guy going up against Matt Hamill, a guy who won't have his longtime friend and head coach, MMA trainer with him down there in Brazil. The coach who said, Matt, you've done great things in MMA. You've had a movie made after you. It's time for you to retire. You had nothing else to prove. What did Matt Hamill do? Nope. A year after his last fight, wants to step into the octagon against a Brazilian in Brazil, let alone a killer like Thiago Silva. And it's just a recipe for disaster for this guy. I mean, I really don't know what Matt Hamill was thinking taking this fight. And he will get knocked out. Thiago Silva will knock him out. I have a lot of confidence in the two Silvas here. Now, let's take a look here. Let's go ahead and take Erick Silva at minus 240 and Thiago Silva at minus 340. We have minus 120. A parlay of the two Silvas gives you minus 120. Basically even money there. And I just see Thiago Silva. And let's not forget, so Matt Hamill, he's a great wrestler. We all know that. He's a good wrestler. Okay, fine. But Thiago Silva is no slouch when it comes to wrestling. Thiago Silva is no wimp when it comes to wrestling. And Thiago Silva has a chin. He's got knockout power. He's going to be in Brazil. He's coming off of he's had surgeries, but now he is healed, healthy. I mean, this fight is just tailor-made for Thiago Silva, and I think that the UFC respects their fighters, and they will give their fighters an opportunity to win if they really want to do so. If you really want to win, you have an opportunity to do so. And Matt Hamill, you know, he's rolling the dice with this one. He's going down to Brazil against Thiago Silva, a killer, a guy with a tattoo on his neck right here in places. I think it says killer across it or something like that. And like I said, I mean, I'm not the biggest Thiago Silva fan in the world. It's not like I'm in love with his skill set and his whole attitude towards the game. But you know what? This fight is tailor-made for him to win. And I have a lot of confidence in him to win this fight. And I predict it will be definitely inside the distance. But you know what? One thing I want to touch on is anytime there's a prop bet, I prefer to do the inside the distance prop as opposed to the knockout or the submission prop. I know it doesn't pay as much and it's not as juicy and it's not as sexy and seducing and like enticing as a submission or knockout. But inside the distance, I mean, anything can happen, guys. Like, man, anything can happen. A guy let's take Erick Silva, for example. He can knock Dong Young Kim to the ground and chase after him, and perhaps he sees an arm right for the taking, or usually it would be like a rear naked choke, takes his back, boom, right away, chokes him out. Oh, shit. Now our wager lost. Because it's not a knockout. It's inside the distance, but it's not a knockout. So I like the inside the distance prop bet. But here we go. Let's recap it. Number 5, Beltran. Number 4, Pierce. Number 3, Maia. Number 2, Erick Silva. Number 1, Thiago Silva. And that does it for the guaranteed betting picks. 5 of them. I want 5-0. I need 5-0. I want 5-0. That is what I want. That is what I want for you guys. That is what I expect of myself. That is what my dog expects. That's what we all want, 5-0. Let's just keep that number in our head. Let's keep moving towards it. Let's just 5-0. There's no reason why we should not be 5-0. And I'll be pissed. I'll be disappointed if it's 4-1. And I want 5-0 for this one. So that being said, let's move along to a fight that just has me and my dog torn. We are our friendship is at risk here. My dog and I are just nearly coming to punches in this particular fight, and that is Raphael Assuncao. I'm kidding about all that, of course, but Raphael Assuncao versus TJ Dillashaw. Dog, I will let you. I have talked enough, dog, and I need to take a water break here. So, Dan, when you are ready, feel free to tell us a little bit about this matchup and who you predict will win this fight.
Yeah, dog. Oh man, this fight looks to be really promising. Before TJ Dillashaw's last fight, I have to say I was very impressed with what I had seen with him ever since he lost the Ultimate Fighter against John Dodson. And Raphael Assuncao, everyone counted him out against Mike Easton, and he showed up to fight. Now, let's just look at these guys' last two fights. We're going to look at Dillashaw against Issei Tamura and Hugo Viana, and Assuncao versus Von Lee and Mike Easton. Assuncao went into the Mike Easton fight almost a 3-1 underdog, and I couldn't believe how juicy he was, or how overrated I should say Mike Easton was on the betting lines. But when he fought Von Lee, and we saw, and Von Lee is no joke. This is the best Von Lee we had seen to date. But man, I could not believe the improvement I had seen from Raphael Assuncao in his last two fights. And TJ Dillashaw has been improving rather well also. I mean, the knockout of Tamura was awesome. I mean, it was just I think it was some kind of flying kick or something, and a finish with ground and pound. It was but it was so accurately timed to hit him with his knee, and it was more of like he threw a kick, and the knee landed flush, and it was good night. And then in the Hugo Viana fight, I distinctly remember Hugo Viana actually hurting Dillashaw early in that fight, and that was a fight that I think Hugo Viana overlooked Dillashaw on, even though he was quite a hefty underdog. So on this fight, just the fact that it's being in Brazil, and just what I've seen with Raphael Assuncao with the Mike Easton fight, and then fighting the best Von Lee we've ever seen, I have to say Raphael Assuncao is going to win this fight. I think it's probably going to be a finish. I don't really see him winning a decision in this one like he did against Mike Easton, but it could happen. But I just feel like TJ Dillashaw is going to win a decision or win finish, and if Raphael Assuncao is going to win this fight, I think it's going to be a finish. It's probably going to be a knockout or TKO. I would say TKO. TJ Dillashaw has been showing quite a much better chin since the John Dodson loss, and he still has vulnerability there. But I'm going to say, Raphael Assuncao by TKO. I'm not going to say early. I'm going to say later in the fight, late second round, maybe early third round. I'm looking for TJ Dillashaw to win the first round here, and that's going to be my pick. Raphael Assuncao is going to win in Brazil once again.
Ooh-wee! Now this is a fight that I really just put under the grinder. You can ask my dog. I mean, this one I just really put it under the microscope. This fight just got the full Now, let's talk a little bit about TJ first. Let's talk a little bit about TJ. So, Division I wrestler. His senior year, ranked number 10 at 133 pounds. He fights at 135 pounds. He's used to making this weight, no problem whatsoever. He is a key member. Now, we may think of him as a newer member because he is, but he is a key member. Now he's not only a new member, he's a key member of the Alpha Male team. And he was actually at the fight. He was actually cornering Uriah Faber. Now, he may have not been the main coach, of course, but he was there. He got to experience it all when Uriah Faber fought Assuncao. So, he's already had a teammate who's fought him. Uriah Faber thinks very highly of TJ Dillashaw, very highly of him. And TJ's now. If there's one thing that I look at TJ Dillashaw and I'm like thinking to myself like, oh man, like I don't know. It's his chin. I don't think he reacts well to being hit. I mean, I don't think most people react well to being hit. Most fighters, but there are certain guys that you just, when you see him get hit, they just don't react well, and that, in my opinion, is TJ Dillashaw. But in his last fight against Hugo Viana, as my dog was pointing out, Hugo Viana is a guy who has power. His coach is Junior Dos Santos' coach, boxing coach, Deloria, I can't remember his name right now. But anyways, so his boxing is very good. Hugo Viana's boxing is very good, and he has power. And TJ Dillashaw TKO'd him, technical knockout. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself like, okay, here we have alpha male team who we all know as soon as Dwayne Beg Ludwig has taken over, they've definitely taken a step up in their overall game, and everything has looked great, and they've all been undefeated up until last weekend when Justin Buchholz lost his, I believe it was a 5-round fight. I know he lost his fight for a belt in one of these regional shows. And Justin Buchholz is also a key member of Team Alpha Male. And I'm just thinking to myself, TJ Dillashaw is going down to Brazil, taking on Raphael Assuncao, a guy who, as my dog pointed out, is nothing to overlook. I mean, Von Lee, the best Von Lee we've seen yet. And in that first round, I was sweating. I was over here sweating pretty good because, to be honest with you guys, like I said, I was sweating pretty good. I was nervous about that fight because the best Von Lee that we've seen, and I'm thinking to myself, Assuncao, you have to get this fight to the ground against Von Lee, and you have to submit him. That is your best way. On the feet, it did not look good. And in his fight before that with Mike Easton, in my opinion, has one of the lowest fight IQs, and it's his chin and his genetics that get him through these fights. It's definitely not his intelligence. And Issei Tamura, in my opinion, done. That guy's done. He shouldn't even be in the UFC. I mean, it's no reason for him to be competing against these guys and get himself killed. And I look at this fight and the line right now. The line is one of those lines where it should be closer to even. But TJ Dillashaw minus 240, minus 250, minus 255. This fight should be TJ Dillashaw should be the favorite. It should be around minus 170, minus 180. And but as you guys know, and I've talked about this before, just because the line isn't where I think it should be doesn't mean that the other guy's going to win the fight. That's the way I see it. Just because the line isn't where I want it to be or I think it should be doesn't mean the other guy's going to win the fight. And it doesn't mean I have to bet on the other guy. Now, some guys come up with these, if it's this or if it's that, I have to bet on that guy. And sure, that can work. But the bottom line for me is I just want to pick winners, bet on winners. And so this fight, just for me, it just barely missed. It was one of the ones that just missed, almost made the cut. It really did. It almost made the cut. And with Justin Buchholz losing last weekend, not that I'm superstitious or anything like that, but all the guys over there, Alpha Male, were talking about, well, who's going to be the first to lose? Who's going to be the first to lose? And now that we've had Buchholz lose, I wonder if it's going to put that thought in TJ Dillashaw's mind, like, oh man, I just had one of my teammates lose. What if I lose? And that can happen. That's sports psychology. Very, very, very common. So I had to unplug that one. I had to unplug that idea. I'm still gonna go with TJ Dillashaw. That still will be my pick. It will still be by decision. And one thing I want to point out is, in my opinion, in order for Assuncao to win this fight, he has to submit TJ Dillashaw. In order for to submit him, he has to take him down. before he can submit a guy, you have to take him down, and that's going to be a very tough task. Very tough task against a Division I wrestler, who improved through his whole college career, ended up at number 10 at 133 pounds in the nation. And man, I see TJ. But like I said, what does worry me is that Assuncao will be at home. Assuncao will be very, very motivated. Assuncao's pissed, and he really shouldn't be. He's saying that TJ Dillashaw is looking past him. That TJ Dillashaw wants to fight at Sacramento. I listened to that interview, and it has nothing. It got spun way out of hand. The interviewer asked him, "Would you like to fight at Sacramento?" And TJ, his response was more of a surprise, like, "Yeah, if I win my fight," or like, "Yeah, that would be great. That would be a great scenario." But it wasn't like TJ Dillashaw went on the interview and said, "Oh yeah, I want to fight in Sac-Town, and I want to fight in my hometown, Sacramento, California, and blah blah blah." It wasn't like that at all. So, I expect Assuncao to perhaps Assuncao will be too emotional in this fight, and leave an opening for TJ. But I do have faith that TJ will win this fight, and it will be a decision. And so that's a fight that nearly cost the MMA Dawgs the whole farm. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so my Dogs with Assuncao, hey, I can't blame him, and I'm with TJ Dillashaw, and that's that. Now, if we move right along here, let's go ahead and ironically enough, that covers the main card, which will be on Fox Sports 1. Fox Sports 1 main card, it's all covered. We'll move along to the preliminary card, which will also be on Fox Sports 1, 2 p.m. Pacific time. And this fight that got scrapped that I was really looking forward to betting, and it was going to be a betting pick, but now the fight is scrapped. That was Hakran Diaz versus Rodrigo Dam. Unfortunately, that fight is no longer going to be taking place. So we are left with 10 fights. The next fight is Igor Araujo versus Ildemar Alcantara. Now, Dan, and all of our viewers here, does that sound like a Harry Potter book? Harry Potter characters to you? Igor Araujo versus Ildemar Alcantara.
Well,
I mean, it's like to me, it sounds like Harry Potter or one of these Lord of the Rings movies or something like that. Dan, what do you think?
Well, dog, I wouldn't know. I'm not that much of a Harry Potter fan. I like to ride the rides when I go to Florida, and they're building one here in Southern California now. But
you may not be a Harry Potter fan, dog, but I know you are a Hobbit. You are a Hobbit fan.
Yep. It kind of sounds like it could be. Let's see here.
What kind of black magic or witchcraft? Alcantara, Ildemar, Igor, Araujo.
Yeah, I suppose so. I suppose it does sound a little bit funny, especially when you put him next to a guy named Igor.
Now, Dan, I know this is all funny and great in games and all, but do not bet against a Greg Jackson fighter.
Nope.
Do not bet against a Greg Jackson fighter or an Andre Pedernera's fighter. Do not bet against their fighters. There's a reason why the MMA Dawgs only follow 7 people, and 2 of those people are Greg Jackson and Andre Pedernera's. Right?
Do not bet against Greg Jackson.
Yeah. Now, Dawg, why don't you tell us a little bit about this fight with Ildemar Alcantara and Igor Araujo, Dawg? Tell us a little bit. We were talking about this recently here, and tell us a little bit about Ildemar and what your thoughts are on him, etc.
Yeah, Ildemar, he looked pretty decent when he made his UFC debut against Wagner Prada, who has no business being in the UFC, and he's not anymore. Anyways, he submitted him pretty easily, and he looked pretty decent at light heavyweight. But when he fought his last fight at welterweight, cutting 2 whole weight classes, dropping down not only to 185, but down to 170 from 205, and fought Leandro Silva, that was a fight where I saw some holes in his game. Had he fought a guy that was a little bit better than Leandro. And, as my dog mentioned, do not bet against Andre Pedernera's, do not bet against Greg Jackson. And this guy Igor is just an up-and-comer that's just a recipe for disaster for a guy like Ildemar. And so, like I said, do not bet, but I could see either guy winning here. I think I'm gonna go with Igor, just because I didn't like what I saw out of Ildemar in his last fight with the weight cut and just bad matchup, bad choice, I guess. Somebody's got to win in Brazil. When it's Brazilian versus Brazilian, anything can go.
Yeah, dog. Good points about the weight cut. One thing to keep in mind is it is very important. It is very important when you are an elite athlete performing at competing and trying to perform at the highest level of competition, that you are fighting within your body frame, your body type, that you are listening to your body and not making these big drastic up and down and up and down and up and down. I'll give you guys an example. Joey Beltran and Fabio Maldonado, if these two guys lived a healthy lifestyle, consistently ate clean, they could both fight at 185 pounds, but they both fight at 205 pounds. And that's one example. I mean, we can go on and on and on about it. But the bottom line is that if you want to perform at the highest of your body's potential, you want to be within as close to your natural body weight, body mass, body index as possible. You don't want to carry too much body fat, and you don't want to carry too little either. You want to make sure that it's optimal. And with this Ildemar, like my dog is saying, this guy fights at every which weight, and props to him. He's a fighter. He doesn't care. He'll fight. But you just got to be careful when you take a guy like that, especially a minus. What is he? Almost nearly minus 400. He's minus 350, minus 300, minus. Yeah, that's insanity. And now Igor, pretty much a one-trick pony, submissions. But don't forget that when a guy is fighting with a great camp, not even a good camp, a great camp, the improvements that can be made are astonishing. And I'm going with the guy making his debut in the UFC, and that's Igor Araujo. I'm gonna go with him for the upset. And let's move along here, right on to the next one. We have a welterweight matchup between David Mitchell and Hyun Cabral. Now, Dan, and everyone else, do not bet against an Andre Pedernera's fighter. Do not bet unless you want to lose. And Dan, tell us a little bit about this David Mitchell character, and if you'd like to talk a little bit about Hyun Cabral. If not, I'll just go ahead and talk about Hyun. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I'll talk about David. David Mitchell is one of those guys who's good. He's got submissions. He can win a decision, and he's got some pretty nice wins here over War Machine and Bobby Green and Simeon Thoresen. But when he's fighting somebody a little bit higher on the rankings, he tends to lose or get knocked out, as we saw in his last fight with Mike Pierce. Now, you have to basically look at Hyun Cabral and say, is this guy somebody right now? Is he going to be somebody? And if he's going to be somebody, is he good enough to beat David Mitchell right now? Or is he going to be the next, what name did I come up with recently? Wagner Prado comes to mind. If he's the next Wagner Prado, then of course you don't want to bet on a guy like that. So of course you take a guy like David Mitchell over him. So that's just figuratively speaking. I know it's a completely different weight class, but this fight, David Mitchell's the kind of guy that he's got good submission defense, and he's got He's got a great ground game and ground defense, but his stand-up isn't great. His stand-up I shouldn't say that. His offense is okay. It's like subpar, but his standing defense is just terrible. When I saw the fight with Simeon Thoresen, I'm thinking to myself, a better striker is going to knock this guy out. And sure enough, his very next fight, they put him up against Mike Pierce, who wasn't all that impressive until the finish, but they basically they were just clinched up, and Mike Pierce caught him and dropped him, and that was a fight. And I could totally see the same thing happening in this fight against the guy who's being coached by Andre Pederneiras. My dog and I had the pleasure of I didn't meet Andre, but after the fight at UFC 156, we actually met Greg Jackson. And my dog met Andre Pederneiras, the exact same place within like an hour of one another, where we were eating after the fight, and it was kind of strange, to be eating there with a bunch of Greg Jackson fighters, and then they got up and left, and then Andre Pederneiras and Jose Aldo and all those fighters came in and sat down and ate, and it was kind of like you're in a different world when you have two great coaches and their fighters around you at the same time, and you're not even expecting it. You go to a fight, you expect it, but after the fight, you think everybody's going their separate ways, and in Vegas, I guess everybody's just all nice and close together for the rest of the night. But I'm going off track here. You can start talking about Jan Cabral, or Doug.
Well, Dan, that was destiny. That was meant to happen. Yep. That was meant to be. That was a great experience, and it brings back memories. Makes you want to go back there in November or go back there in December. But that's how excited we are for this Jan Cabral fight, Dog, and David Mitchell. Now, Jan Cabral beat Sakuraba, and I'm going to go ahead and bet the farm 5 stars, Jan Cabral, all in. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. 1999. If it was 1999 and Jan Cabral had beat Sakuraba and he was fighting David Mitchell, oh, bet the farm. But seriously, Cabral, excellent jiu-jitsu. And training at Novo União with Pederneiras, his stand-up is coming. His stand-up is going to be improving, constantly improving. As my dog talked about David Mitchell, the one word to describe him for me is he's a scrapper. He's a scrappy guy. I don't think he's ever been submitted. I don't remember him ever being submitted, and I don't think he has. But Jan Cabral, he's dealing with a guy who, first of all, he was on the Ultimate Fighter House. I remember he was one of the top picks. I want to say he was number 4 guy on Team Verdum when it was Verdum versus Nogueira, and he had to leave the house because he had a broken hand. I remember watching the show. It was in Portuguese, so I could make out like 70% of it. But yeah, I like this guy making his debut and in the UFC. Right now, he's currently sitting around minus 300 or so. I was very tempted to pull the trigger on it. I'll probably throw it in one of my Hail Mary parlays. And definitely straight, but I can't say, hey, you know what, guys, 3 stars, go bet this guy, just because, like I said, David Mitchell is a scrapper, and this guy is making his debut. Now, on the flip side, it is in Brazil. He does have under Pederneiras, so I'm definitely leaning Cabral. Definitely will be in one of my Hail Mary parlays that are for fun. Not expecting to win it, but definitely doing my research to win more than to win those more often than not. And so Jan Cabral, I will say he will have the pleasure of defeating David Mitchell for the first time by submission, and that is that. Now, moving along to this one. Now, my dog is an absolute expert when it comes to the next fight. It's a flyweight fight. That is why I called him my flyweight dog. It is Chris Cariaso versus Iliarde Santos. So, Dan, with no further ado, what can we expect out of this fight? What do we have to look forward to?
Yeah, dog. This fight, I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I definitely remember.
I would.
I definitely remember both these guys. First of all, both these guys are coming off of back-to-back losses. Chris Cariaso recently lost in Brazil to a Brazilian, so I don't know what he's thinking going in here again to fight another Brazilian in Brazil. And Iliarde Santos coming off of a decision loss to Ian McCall, and before that he got knocked out by Yuri Alcantara. Now, the thing about this fight is, first of all, if you're not familiar with Iliarde Santos, because he's fought in the UFC twice already, he kind of reminds me of a mini Thiago Alves, and he had some decent moments, I guess you could say, in the Ian McCall fight. And the Yuri Alcantara fight, no one's gonna blame him for that. Yuri Alcantara is just a beast going into every fight. Even the Uriah Faber fight, he had some good moments early. So and just the fact that he's basically lost his last two fights in the UFC, his only two fights in the UFC so far, and he's going up against Chris Cariaso, who just happens to be coming off of two losses as well. Chris Cariaso was supposedly beating John Moraga. A lot of people had Chris Cariaso winning that fight a decision, had it gone the distance, and John Moraga obviously thought so, went in there, finished the fight. And his last fight in Brazil against Jussier Formiga was basically an eye opener for me and my dog to pet the farm against Jussier Formiga when Benavidez knocked him out not too long ago. But that was a fight where Jussier Formiga was winning the fight, and what had happened was, I guess late in the fight, it seemed like Chris Cariaso was just I don't know if Jussier Formiga was gassed, or maybe it was a little bit of both, of him being gassed and Chris Cariaso just like realizing he was going to lose a decision. But it almost looked like little Chris Cariaso is going to finish off Jussier Formiga in Brazil. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my goodness, Chris Cariaso really this good? Or Jussier Formiga really this bad? Well, we know Jussier Formiga really isn't all that great, because as soon as he came in the UFC, he got knocked out by John Dodson. He beat Chris Cariaso. And then we just saw him get knocked out by Benavidez. And then let's go back to when Chris Cariaso beat Takeya Mizugaki in Japan last year, and that was a fight where the judges got that one completely wrong. That was an easy 29-28 at least, if not 30-27 win for Mizugaki, and for some reason the judges gave it to Cariaso. I mean, Mizugaki had a takedown in every round, and if my memory serves me correct, Cariaso didn't do anything the rest of the round after Mizugaki took him down. And I'm pretty sure also that Dana White gave Mizugaki his win bonus on that fight, because he knows the judges gave that one to Cariaso. So with all that being said, I'm going to go with Iliarde Santos. Just back up against the wall. And I know they're both back up against the wall when they're both coming off two losses, but I got to say that I've liked what I've seen out of Iliarde Santos lately, and I haven't liked what I've seen out of Chris Cariaso. So I'm going to say back up against the wall for Iliarde Santos, especially in Brazil. And I don't think it's going to be a finish. I think it's going to be just a decision, and I think it's going to be pretty one-sided. Hopefully more one-sided than Jussier Formiga fight, because that was a fight going into the third round, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, he's gonna wind up pulling off the comeback win here, and he didn't. So I think this time he's just gonna lose every round, dramatically, I guess. So Iliarde Santos for the win by decision.
Iliarde Santos. Now, Cariaso, two things that stand out for me for him. He needs to bridge the gap between his stand-up and his jiu-jitsu. And the way to bridge that gap would be through wrestling. And he needs to, I know he's got this thing going up there in the Bay Area, but he needs to train with some real serious wrestlers. I mean, he should go over to AKA and train some serious wrestling with Daniel Cormier and Cain Velasquez. I mean, just he needs, or maybe he just needs wrestling. Is what he does. He needs wrestling, and he needs more physical strength. So he needs to do some heavy low rep lifting and some wrestling, and he would be a good guy. But as my dog pointed out, he just leaves there some room there. He just leaves much to be desired. He leaves too many gaps, and I can't back a guy like that. As my dog pointed out, both these guys have their back up against the wall. But with Santos, Alcantara, and then McCall, and with Cariaso, Moraga, and then Formiga, it's just one of those fights where it's like, man, both these guys are coming off losses to good guys. Moraga just recently fought Mighty Mouse for the belt, and Alcantara, he fought Faber recently, didn't look bad, And McCall, he's always game. So this would be a good fight. For the second fight of the night, this is a good fight. I'm looking forward to it. Deservingly so. They're about even. This is about basically a pick 'em. And, I can't back Cariaso on this one just because of what I said originally, what I said here, my first statement. So I'm going to go with Santos also by decision. But it's a do not bet. Are you crazy? It's a do not bet for me. That is for sure. For my dog and I, it's a do not bet. And to get the party started, we're gonna have, as boss likes to say, somebody's O has got to go. Alan Patrick sitting at 10-0, going up against Garett Whiteley. Garett Goodnight Whiteley or Whitley at 7-0. Now, this particular fight, it's gonna be. Dog, I know you and I were talking about this fight before we started shooting here, and just taking a look at these guys. First of all, if you took a look at the level of competition, oh man, it leaves a lot to be desired. Now, I don't know what kind of a pickle, or how Garett got got the luck of the draw to get that sent down to Brazil to take on Allen here. But I expect these guys to go out there, go for broke. I would not be surprised if Garett knocks out Allen. I mean, but this is a fight I have no desire whatsoever to bet on. None whatsoever. And I am going to go with the Brazilian. I am going to go with Alan Patrick to keep his undefeated streak going here. But if you take a look at the numbers here, we got minus 260, minus 240 on Patrick, and we got plus 220, plus 200 on Whitley. And I really don't have any desire to bet this fight. But I will go with the Brazilian to keep his O, and Garett's O has got to go. Dan, who is your pick for this fight?
Yeah, this is a fight that do not bet. The guys that are fighting here, obviously the Brazilian has the advantage because all of his fights were in Brazil, and this fight's in Brazil, and the American here, all of his fights were in the United States against pretty much all of his fights every one of his fights were in Indianapolis, Indiana, and they were all against American fighters. So I can definitely see why Alan Patrick has the advantage. Both these guys look pretty intimidating, but you can never really pick a guy based on how he looks. I mean, maybe you can pick it how he looks at the weigh-in, but just his overall look, you never know who's going to show up. You could see some guys are really intimidating, and they really that's all they really have. They're just scary looking guys. They really can't fight as well as you might think they could. With all that being said, though, I'm gonna go with Garett Whiteley in this one. Don't ask me why. I just have a funny feeling, and but yeah, I could see this fight going either way.
Yeah, this one, I think this particular fight is going to really. I mean, I expect both these guys to go out there, take the center of the octagon, start let. I'll see. Now for this fight, let's take a look here. This is a Facebook fight, and now they've been showing them on YouTube as well. So that'll be.
Well, hold on, dog. Ever since they scratched Rodrigo Dam and Hakron Diaz, these fights are all going to be on Fox Sports 1 now.
Perfect. Yep. Perfect. So 2 o'clock. That's even better. 2 o'clock start time. Oh, nice. 2 o'clock start time. Get everything done that I need to get done in the morning. And yeah. Get these fight all these. Definitely gonna be watching all these fights live from 2 p.m. Pacific time, all the way up until what is that, 4? It's going to be 4 p.m. Pacific time. The main card's, oh, yeah, all day extravaganza, UFC Fight Night 29. And, Dan, do you have any announcements or anything to tell us as far as our website goes, or the ordering process? From the website, or any tips or anything you can tell us about the website and how to get these exclusive picks, and anything to say, dog, before I give my 2 bits here and we sign off?
Yeah, dog. Real quick, I revised the website in the last week to where now we show our how we've done recently since we've been charging for this. This will be our 6th event that we've been paying for, and so we've already got 5 events that we've charged for. Only had to give out refunds once, and I know we don't want to advertise, oh, we had to give out refunds, but we want to be honest with people and say, hey, we screwed up on one card, and everybody got the refund as the terms say. In addition to that, starting on October the 11th, we've got a special deal coming up here. We're gonna sell all 5 November events for one solid price of $100. And if you guys have been paying the $35 per event price instead of the $25 pre-order, it's going to be quite a savings for you guys. So it's going to be on sale October 11th through November the 2nd when Rampage and Tito throw down in Long Beach on Bellator's first pay-per-view, and it's going to cover that fight. It's going to cover Machida versus I'm sorry, not Machida, Munoz, Kennedy and Sapo. It's going to cover Henderson and Vitor. It's going to cover GSP and Hendricks, and it's going to cover at the very end of the month the rematch between Joseph Benavidez and Demetrius Johnson at the Ultimate Fighter 18 finale. So look forward to that, and yeah, dog, back to you.
Yeah, so yeah, my dog's been doing a really good job with our website and get everything updated, and we're just really happy with the way everything has been going. As my dog said, we always want to be honest. We want to be transparent. We want to, in the sports betting world, I'll share a funny story or interesting thing with you guys. Anytime you talk about sports betting with people, they automatically assume, most people anyways, most of the population, a lot of you guys aren't this way, but a lot of people automatically assume that it's a vice, it's this nasty habit, it's this bad thing that is going to lead to bad things. And it doesn't have to be that way. If you take a look at the way corporate America, a lot of these big companies, a lot of these big corporations that make millions of dollars, billions of dollars, they have people sitting at the very, very top. And this isn't everyone, of course, all right? So don't take it out of hand. This is very specific to but it is a lot of the big corporations. And yes, they help people and this and that. I know the positive. I already know that. But we're focusing mostly on this portion, which I think a lot of you guys will agree with. So they have these shareholders, these owners who sit at the very, very top, who live a very excellent lifestyle. And they have gotten their success off of the sweat, the blood, and the tears of all the people working underneath them to help push and drive this machine. And as we recently saw this government shutdown, and you guys watch the news and see all this wild stuff going on, and you have people who play the market, with stocks and all these different things. And as soon as somebody brings up sports betting or betting on wagering on MMA or sports or football, right away, what is, what's, I mean, not everyone, of course, but what is this thing? It's not going to work. Well, I have news for all that. You can go to our website. You can see the hard numbers, the statistics, the numbers. You can look at all our past videos if you have the time, or if you're bored and if you want to see all our past videos, feel free to do so. And I mean, it's just incredible where we were a year ago, Dan, with this whole thing, and where we are here 13 months later. I mean, it's just, to me, it's just incredible, and I want to keep driving this thing as far, just bigger than it is now. and I want for the people who have faith and who believe in what we're doing to be able to make a lot of money. And I would love to make this available to everyone. I mean, I would love to make it to where everybody is able to have access to our picks and our predictions. And you know, but I can't. I mean, there's some petty bettors out there who will say, oh, you know, this and that. But you know, we really would be doing a disservice to all our clientele who is betting a lot more money, you know, thousands of dollars on these fights, to be offering this for some really bottom low price. And like I said, I would love for everybody to have access to it, but I think $25 and $35 is very fair. If it's not fair, then I would recommend saving up money, and you have to keep track of these things, guys. So keep track of your picks and your bets that you make, so that way you have faith, as much faith as I have, as much faith as my dog has, that this does indeed work. You can indeed make money with it, but you have to go about it in an intelligent manner. You have to keep a system, just like anything else. You have to just keep track of things, track it, measure it. You know, it's like the saying goes. You know, if you have a goal, well, if you don't have a plan for that goal, it's just a dream. And dreaming is good. You know, you want to dream, but you want to definitely have a track. You want to have a path to that. And even if it's just setting aside some money and then betting it, and you don't even have to. You can just watch our videos after if you want. That's fine. You know, you don't have to pay us. It's not about me making money or my dog making money. It's just about growing, becoming better at what you do. And you know, I have an open mind. I don't think I'm the know-it-all, end-all, be-all. I'll definitely put my picks up against anyone else's. That's for sure. But if there's somebody who I feel knows more than me, or I feel is worth listening to, I definitely do so. You know, I'm always listening and expanding my horizons. You know, I'm listening to different things and trying to get as much information as I can, because it's something that I love to do. I love MMA. I love the UFC. And it's just something that I feel very passionate about. I love making money. I love working. Like Anderson Silva, I'm working on my working. I'm just working on my working. You know, like Anderson Silva says, oh, it's normal. I working, normal. And that's it. That's that. And oh my God, dog, we got GSP taking on Johnny Hendricks next month. Whoa, wait a minute. We got Cain Velasquez versus Junior Dos Santos Part 3. All right, we got it here this month, October. November we got GSP Hendricks. In December we got Anderson Silva taking on Chris Weidman. I mean, that is just unbelievable, Dan. I'm so excited. I don't know what to do. And we got picks for all of them. We got picks for all those 3 fights. And I'm just looking forward to it with as many people as we can. And that's it. And that's that, dog. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and sign off. As my dog said, the website is MMADAWGS.com. And, you know, don't feel like if you visit the website, you have to buy the package. You know, take a look around. You know, shoot us an email if you have any questions, or if you want to tell, you know, just feel free to interact with us. We're on Facebook. My dog's on Facebook all the time. I'm on Twitter. And so, yeah, I mean, we're just doing our thing, making this thing work. And we just continue, like I said, just get better and better and better and better, to where, you know, I just want, you know, somebody like someone, you know, perhaps in Vegas or something very huge to happen here with MMA betting, to where it's as big as, and you know what, I think it's only a matter of time before it, you know, how, for example, everybody knows the NFL lines. You know, on Monday, all the lines come out. Everybody knows them, and that's it. I want that for MMA betting. So I'm really excited. And that also means, you know, guys, public that we have this, the more the line is going to shift in our favor. So yeah. So that's it. That wraps it up. And I'm signing off here. Good luck, guys. We'll talk to you guys real soon. And you guys take care.
Bye, guys.
If you know who gon' win, say MMA. Capacity crowd. Is you bout it or just loud? My dude just a talk, ain't ready for 5 rounds. He used to be the champ, now we barely last 3 rounds. MMA Dawgs, Hector and Dan. Worldwide. Philly to Philippines. Fighters tapping out for guillotines. Losing is a nightmare, winning is a damn dream. Damn, G. You gon' push your parlay. He should think about tapping all that all